Massachusetts, the Bay State, where its wicked history runs as thick as chowder. Travelers came from far and wide to help lay an American foundation and created echoes still felt to this day. Join us as we explore Massachusetts, the spirit of America, and their tales less traveled.
So,
all right, we're gonna start. Yeah, I'm starting this time because you started the last one with so.
Did I?
Yes, you did.
I don't remember.
So, welcome to our third episode.
Yay!
How are you guys doing?
We're good. I'm good.
I'm doing pretty fantastic this week.
Good.
I'm good.
I'm decent.
Happy almost Thanksgiving.
This will be coming out on Thanksgiving, so happy Thanksgiving.
So happy Thanksgiving.
Almost to now Thanksgiving.
You gotta think like present.
And if you're listening to this with your family on Thanksgiving, why?
Please.
Why?
Let
Turn
them
it
leave
off.
the room.
Listen to it later.
Exactly.
Or share it with them. I mean, maybe they all like it, but tell them to respectively listen to it on their own phones, so it sounds like one giant choir.
Do we sound better as multiples?
No, but our ratings go up. It's a win-win. Win-win-win.
Oh, there's the
Listen to it separately.
there's the self-promotion I knew you would bring in.
Yeah. I mean, I heard also we're good ASMR for dogs at night. So.
What?
So
Okay.
this third episode is actually going to be pretty special.
Yeah.
I'm excited for this one.
Because Brooke, you've prepared a song, haven't you?
Yeah, it's
she
called,
wrote the song too.
It's called Turkey Day.
All right.
Okay.
Please take it off. Take it away whenever you're ready.
So, well, first I gotta set the mood.
Okay.
It's Turkey Day. It's Thanksgiving.
Okay, so
Good Lord.
moving on to the stories, we have a lot to cover.
Betty White comes flying in on a harness.
Oh.
She just got done saving the world from Happy Birthday America, July 4th.
No one knows Happy Birthday America though.
Look, I can't talk about it too much or someone's gonna steal my idea.
I hear that's pretty top secret.
Well, that's not the story we're here to tell.
We'll cover that on our
How'd y'all-
eventual
wait,
script podcast.
So where are we this week?
Well, we're in the wonderful state of Massachusetts.
You couldn't tell by the harbor when we
Couldn't
got
tell by
into
the nice forest.
Well, I can tell
Yeah.
by their driving. Aren't they a bunch of mass holes?
Brooke, I told you we were riding in
See, this is why.
What are you, the rest of New England?
Exactly.
With my donkeys.
Brooke, Brooke and I arrived on our sailboat.
Yeah.
And we stopped for a little bit of Dunkin's.
Now here's
Did Duncans originate in New England?
Who knows where
I'm
Dunkin'?
not
I
sure.
don't
I'm not
know. I don't
gonna
think so.
speak like I know
No,
things
I don't think
because
so. Why
I've
would you
messed
ask
up.
that?
I messed up with
Hawaii.
yeah.
Listen.
So there's 8 islands.
Okay.
There's not 7.
Look,
Also-
we try to do the best research we can, but sometimes alcohol gets involved, and you know how it is.
And
To be fair, we were off by one.
yeah,
It's
I
almost
might have
as if
had
the
a
one
little
island didn't
bit
matter.
of that Hawaiian rum.
Yeah.
But
Brooke can tell you about it.
also an acre is not a square mile, so I apologize for that one. It is.
We're
It is
learning.
not.
We're
So
learning.
We did.
Maybe we should have done our research.
Yeah.
yeah, I did my research and everything that I guess
I thought we just kind of
This
hit
is
the
in
red
jeopardy.
button.
You thought
I
we
wasn't researching Hawaiian geography, so
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, my turtle died.
What?
I had to kick to shore and give him a burial when we arrived.
So how did
for
your
Hawaii?
Yeah.
Alex? How was your cruise?
Oh, it was great. It was great. We had parties every night. Of course, social distancing, of course, right? But
How do you
it's nice.
social distance dance when you grind? Is it kind of like a thrusting motion?
But were
and
they-
the other
were they
It's
person's
a lot
kinda...
of it's a lot of hazmat suits.
yeah, you don't have to.
okay.
You don't really have to grind.
Did you use the
all
one I
the
gave
time.
you?
Yeah, that was nice. Thank you.
Thanks.
And it was scented. I like that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Lavender.
I mean, it sounds
Remember,
like
use protection when COVID.
COVID.
Wow.
Yeah.
sounds like y'all had a fun time when I was wandering drunk on the beach. You know, I had a vision, and
I was trying to get you on
It's
the
all that
sailboat.
peyote you're taking, Brooke.
yeah. Well, I met Papi Juancho, Mr.
Oh, God.
Mr. Maluma, but you know who he was with? The one and only Mr. 305 saved me on his speedboat. Mr. Pitbull!
No.
That wasn't
We no, that was not Pitbull.
I will say, though, I heard from the grapevine that he might be inviting us down to Florida at some point, so maybe we can hitch it on up down there at
Juan
some point
Luis.
in the future.
Juan Luis.
Yeah, we go a little bit down the coast.
He's not. One day we'll take up Juan Luis's offer.
Yeah, but this is the closest thing to a Thanksgiving special we're gonna get because we're this great country. Nothing wrong with this country. Started in the wonderful state of Massachusetts, where supposedly the Pilgrims set off at Plymouth and slaughtered hundreds of Native Americans.
This is the kind of Thanksgiving tale that I just enjoy.
So we're gonna talk about, I don't know.
So, do you want to explain to the audience why this episode is special?
So
Why are y'all laughing? God.
It's a little different than our typical.
Well,
So maybe perhaps someone else is going to be starting off the stories tonight. Maybe someone else has done the research.
It's almost like it's
Not me.
Friendsgiving. What can you contribute except for Alex because she was busy with work?
Okay, listen, at the end of this episode, I'm going to give everybody who's joining us a nice thank you.
you'll give a Thanksgiving prayer, maybe like a Thanksgiving thanks, a group thanks.
Thank you. That's exactly what I'm looking for.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Wonderful.
So we each did our own little research on a little tale, on a little story.
A tale that is less traveled in the Massachusetts region of New England.
This is definitely very new to me because I know nothing of New England.
Well,
You know?
one day
Hold on,
you'll
Brooke, you're
experience
kind of
it.
making me nervous, so I'm going to go check this. So we're going to have a little technical difficulties in this nice forest.
What happened?
Give me a sec.
Yeah.
Okay, we are back. Not definitely, sometimes when we're out in the wild, I have to bring along my laptop that's almost 8 years old, so.
And Brooke has to rub her sticks together.
Yeah, I gotta create Wi-Fi. You think I'd have beefier arms by now, but it's just a bunch of flab. What does it say about me?
Well,
It says that you're motivated.
I can't join a gym right now, Alexandra. There is COVID-19 going on, but thank you. I did ask for Ring Fit Plus Adventure, whatever, for Nintendo Switch. It's $69 right now at Amazon. You could
You
also join our
actually-
Amazon wish list.
That's not part of us.
well, before we go any more off
Selfless
topic,
plug-in.
maybe we should hop into the stories.
Yeah.
So who's going to take it away?
I think I will.
Alright, let me just get comfy on my
And
log.
I'm excited. Ooh.
Do you need to warm up? Like, me.
No.
Mo.
I think I'm warmed up. I'm warm enough.
That
Why?
hard cider really,
I was
non-alcoholic hard cider.
Yeah, warmed me up. But I was I did my research and I actually had fun doing my little research.
Isn't it fun?
It is
It's
fun.
liberating.
I like it.
It's a nice
And
little hobby.
I have little pictures of here on my little.
You can show the audience.
Okay.
Your stone tablet almost resembles the shape of an apple.
Okay, but we're not.
in the Stone Ages.
We're not in the Stone Ages. Okay, you guys ready?
Yep.
Take it
Okay, so I will be talking about the Houghton Mansion.
Ah! Scary.
Houghton?
I say Houghton, but that's because
I say hootin'.
I don't know if it's a Texan thing,
You
but like
just crack
I
yourself up.
I never pronounce the T like Houghton. You know?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so here's a little for Josh, Alex, and Brooke, a little mansion.
Wow.
It's just an old looking mansion.
Very nice.
Okay, so the Houghton Mansion is one of New England's most mysterious and haunted buildings.
Why is that?
I'm going to tell you.
How about you just let her finish with that and we'll figure it out.
So a man named Albert Charles Houghton, who was president of the Arnold Print Works and first mayor of North Adams, Massachusetts, built the Houghton Mansion. And our story begins in the spring of 1914 when the Houghton family bought their first car. I don't know much about cars, but it was a 7-passenger Pierce Arrow touring car. It looks like that.
Classic.
Oh, so I thought you were gonna say the
It's like that. It's
the
very.
Ford T.
It was a King Ranch truck.
Wow.
Ford.
Hey, you know, we talked about that in that lost episode of Texas.
There you go.
So
One
the
day.
family's longtime chauffeur, John Witters, was instructed to learn to drive it. On August 1st of that same year, Mr. Houghton and his daughter, Mary Houghton, decided to go to Bennington, Vermont with their friends Dr. Robert Houghton and his wife, Sybil? I don't know how to
Sybil?
pronounce Sybil? Is that how you
Sybil.
say it? Sybil. Okay.
That was the rage all back then.
Sybil? The name Sybil?
Yeah. Sybil.
Yeah, it's also a book.
And a character in Silent Hill.
Okay.
Sybil,
well,
Sybil,
there you go.
Sybil.
Sybil.
Okay.
Okay.
I didn't know that.
As they drove, they were on one side of the road. I think it was the right side of the road.
Naturally.
Right? Do you know
Only
the,
the
Do you
right
know the
side.
story?
No, but normally we drive on the right side of the road.
Okay. They were,
Yeah, I mean,
they were on
Unlike
the
your-
right side of the road. No. I remember. They were driving on the right side of the road, but the chauffeur, I think he kind of veered to the left because there were horses coming. I'm assuming.
Live animals always get
So
you.
horses were coming, and even though they were only going 12 miles per hour, they slid off the road and began rolling downhill. The car flipped 3 times, throwing everyone out except Mary Houghton, the daughter.
Oh, dang.
When everything finally settled, it was discovered that Mrs. Houghton, the doctor's wife, had been crushed and killed as the car rolled over her,
oof.
while Mary had sustained fatal wounds. Unfortunately, she would die later at the North Adams Hospital.
So she survived only to die later on because of the wounds.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so she died later that day. The men surprisingly walked away with only minor scrapes and cuts. But Mr. Houghton would die 10 days later in the mansion. And some said that he was just heartbroken, so he
Yeah.
just really deteriorated.
Killed himself.
He didn't kill himself, he gave up.
Like
He
died
gave
of a
up.
broken heart,
Yeah.
so to speak.
Yeah.
I always wondered about that. Side note.
That's
you
a
know,
thing, though.
It is a
That's
thing.
100% a thing.
Scientifically, you can
Well,
die
it's-
from a broken heart.
It's like, I'm not going to spread this information, but it's like a large percentage of spouses die within a year of their
Significant
of
other.
their significant other.
Yeah.
Is that based on an age range, though, do you think? Like, if they've only been together for, like, I don't know, 10, 15 years compared to being together for, like, 50.
I don't
I
think you can really base it off years, though.
Maybe base it off marriage happiness.
Yeah, I think you can really base it off, the love that you have for them, maybe.
The love.
love.
Don't let me deter
Okay,
you.
anyways, going back. So the family chauffeur, John Witters, he was the one driving that day. He was grief-stricken and filled with guilt that he killed himself in the basement of the mansion, and he shot himself to death with a horse pistol.
Oh, God.
What is a horse pistol?
I don't know. I looked it up. It just...
Well,
I don't know.
what's a
I don't
normal
know anything about guns.
pistol?
It just looked like a normal...
So that would probably be correct, that it is just a regular pistol.
I'm assuming this is a pistol you use to put horses down.
Yes, but it's probably a regular
Just like
pistol.
designated.
You just have to aim it in the right direction.
Yeah.
Well,
Do you do-
clearly he did it.
Do you
He
shoot horses?
No, I don't shoot horses, but my previous job with the farm
It's a large
hands-
pistol carried at the pommel of a saddle by a rider.
Okay, so it was
Just
just
a regular
it was just a
pistol.
regular pistol,
Yes.
But it was
carried
used to
them
take
on
down
horses.
horses.
Nope.
but it was
What?
not at
No,
all.
it was just a gun that was carried on a horse.
Oh!
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
My misunderstanding.
Yeah.
Okay.
Apologies.
Yeah,
well, he
sure.
killed himself with a pistol. So these events are the basis of what people consider to be the most intense hauntings in New England. People have reported hearing the disembodied voices of Mary Houghton, her father, and John Witters in the house. Shadowy figures have been seen roaming the hallways, and visitors often remark on a heavy, sad feeling that descends upon them as soon as they step into Mary's room. And this I kind of, I don't know, it got to me because I was like, I believe that. I believe in the energy.
Yeah.
So I can
Yeah.
definitely see where people walked into her room and just felt that presence,
Yeah, and
sadness.
I think
Engulfed in that energy.
Especially if they were not ready to die.
Yeah.
It was just...
I can only imagine what kind of energy that would feel like, though.
I would not want to
Sudden
find
wave
out.
of
You just feel heavy
Yeah.
in a room, maybe.
Gravity.
Even more eerie are the tales of the spirit of a little girl seen in the basement. Before the Houghton Mansion was built, another home apparently sat on the property. When that structure was demolished, the original basement remained and the mansion was built over it. The Houghton family themselves have even reported a strange feeling in the basement.
Those renovations, man, that's
Which, yeah, I was gonna say, I think I have it on the end here where it says that when a building is being altered, it can stir up paranormal activity.
So no one thought about maybe just walking around, cleansing the area.
well, no, this is back in the early time. I mean, why would you think that? You buy the land and you want to build on top of it.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And you don't know.
Not that, I mean, I feel like we're still very superstitious as a people now, but I feel like even back then, you imagine maybe there would be more superstition because there's not as much
What year was
verification.
this again?
And this all took place in 1914. So it was
1914.
I think when the mansion was built, it was late 1800s, very late. Early 1900s. So
I can't wait to just build myself a mansion.
make sure there's no basement attached.
Don't build it on an ancient burial ground or on a graveyard cemetery or next to the Warner Brothers set for Scooby Doo. I hear a lot of people like
Really?
to wear masks.
Oh. You're kidding.
Scooby Doo. Yeah, get it?
Well, I'm not sure the specific time period. I think it was 1800s, but there was a large influence of like people believing in spiritualism and seeking out readings and seances and all that.
That's what I was thinking.
Most famously, Winchester.
Oh, I love
House.
that one.
Yeah, but that's for another
Well,
day.
Another day. But to add on to that, the mansion is now being used as and I just learned today how to pronounce it. It's Masonic Lodge, not Masonic. It's Masonic.
What's a Masonic Lodge?
So I don't know much about it. It's a secret organization, the
The Freemasons.
Freemasons, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a secret organization of just men. I don't know much about it. I would have done more research on that, but I didn't feel like going.
That would.
Yeah.
You could do an entire
Yeah.
That's a deep dive.
Yeah,
topic.
you could do an entire series on the
Side
Freemasons.
note.
I want to know more about this on a later note because
Yeah,
I don't
tell
know
them.
much. Well, no, I don't know much about it, but I will say,
We saw a temple.
yeah, on another travel that my sister and I did, we came upon a building, and there was the
symbol.
the symbol for the Freemasons.
Yeah.
It turns out we were in a city that was heavily populated by them,
Yeah.
governed by them.
So I thought that was very interesting. I know.
Yeah,
But,
that was very interesting.
So the mansion is now being used as one of their temples, and they hold their secretive meetings and rituals within a temple that they built attached to the mansion. And again, remember, any altercations,
Renovation.
you can stir up anything. Many of the Masons have reported supernatural occurrences, and this was weird to me. In the temple that they hold their meetings in, there's an old electric chair covered with dust and a nail bed just there. And
Torture chamber devices?
maybe, but I don't think they would have been using it, but it's just
The fact that it's
I don't
there
know.
is weird.
Yeah, it's there, and I don't know if it's been there since the mansion has been there.
Or the Freemasons.
But it's there.
That would have been.
And I
that's
don't know if they
weird.
still keep it. There you go. That's
maybe
Maybe the family's into weird things.
I don't know.
I was
but-
just watching some educational TV the other day, Boo, and would this happen to have been on Ghost Adventures?
I have not seen the episode.
What?
Oh,
I actually no.
First of all, how did y'all get TV signal?
this
Said it
just
was a
sounds
week ago.
very. This just sounds very familiar. That
Ghost Adventures may have. I don't know.
checked it out.
Checked it out, but I did my research already.
Okay, all right,
Okay,
yeah.
but then last thing here, though.
Yeah.
So I talked about, renovations on a building. And due to the Masons having reported seeing anything, it is said to this day that the spirits are never at rest.
Whoa.
So there's the Houghton Mansion.
So
and...
Can you tour this place?
I
Or is
don't.
it private?
It sounds like it's probably private if the Freemasons are using it right now.
I don't know if we're going to cover this in this episode, but I forgot the name of it. It's the tunnel. Oh, well,
There's a
Maybe.
there's a specific
Perhaps.
tunnel that may be tied to the Houghton Mansion.
Really?
Yeah.
So will you be able to expand on a certain story of a tunnel that I may be telling later?
Maybe, because I only read like a sentence of the tunnel.
She'll be able to throw that sentence in later.
But I may be able to throw this sentence in later.
All right.
Wow.
Well, I'll
But
hold
that
you
is
to
the
it.
Houghton Mansion.
Very cool.
I really liked it. I really found it interesting because
Very cool.
I'm,
Alright, snaps.
Of course.
I'm a sucker for anything haunted, mansion,
Yeah, anything related. Plus, the,
Anything Disney comes out with, really.
and anything
Of
with a
course.
secret organization later being involved.
Tales Less Traveled Cult Edition.
I could go on about cults, but
Yeah.
I'm a cult
Well, we
lord.
may be talking about cult later,
okay.
but I don't
Oh.
want to spoil anything.
Okay.
Oh man.
I really do think I could start a cult, though.
You think you can?
Yeah, let's do it.
I think
Yeah.
I could follow
I
one.
think so. For anyone who's listening that might be interested in joining something greater than yourself,
Oh god.
Send an
Email
application
us.
at taleslesstraveled@gmail.com.
Are you questioning your purpose in life? Are
What
you
are you-
unhappy?
What are
Do
you
think
most
could be
afraid
better?
of?
do you want to do right by
What's the
yourself
worst
in
thing
world?
that could happen if you tell yourself yes?
All right, I think we should move on.
So,
Alright.
Brooke.
So Brooke, you have so she's
I
more just,
Passing the baton.
I'm passing on the baton to you.
so she's more just told us a tale that's otherworldly. Maybe you have a tale that's out of this world.
Wow,
Oh.
I like that transition.
I
That
do.
was
I
very
like
well.
that.
I'm low key blushing.
Aw,
That's what you did so good.
Thank
though.
you.
Yay.
You did really
Thank you,
good.
that
And I
was
like
fun.
your pictures. You know what we should do? We should, like, every now and then maybe post some of the pictures we find on our social
When we
media.
get our website up and going.
Well, yeah, the
one day.
website will do it. Maybe potentially.
Okay, that'd be cool.
Yeah,
Who's-
great.
Okay.
All right, we ready?
Yeah.
All right, so I looked into something that interests me, the Berkshire County UFO sightings, which happened in Massachusetts as well.
Is it Brookshire or
As
Berkshire?
well, so
Berkshire.
they were not just in Massachusetts.
Yes.
How far did this expand?
This expanded, I believe it was like 118 miles.
And I
From Pittsfield, Massachusetts to New Canaan, Connecticut.
also want to preference that Brooke loves anything UFO.
Aliens.
Anything. Like, she wants to be prodded by those things.
I
if
don't know if
possible.
if we can go that far. Do you, Brooke?
Don't look at me like that. You've said this before.
Okay, look.
Do
all
you
right.
want experience?
I both enjoy and mystified, but also terrified. It's one of those things that's like, if it happens,
A morbid curiosity.
yeah, like if it happens, that would be incredible. And up to an extent, when we finally talk about Pennsylvania, I can certainly get into that, or when we do our like own personal episode. But if it were ever to happen to me, I think I would have PTSD for the rest of my life. I don't think I'd be able to function as a normal person in society if that were to ever happen.
Probably.
Well,
So
yeah.
that leads actually back to this. So in this account, some of you might be aware of it. Unsolved Mysteries, the reboot on Netflix, just recently did an episode on this.
I haven't seen the episode.
You haven't seen the episode?
No, bless,
Bless
you.
you.
Oh, bless you.
But I love
Maybe I'm
Unsolved
just
Mysteries.
allergic to scary stories.
Ooh.
He's allergic to the forest that we're in right now.
He doesn't like nature much.
The greenery.
The Beantown.
What?
Beantown, Boston coffee. Y'all never heard of
Molasses flood of 19 something.
that? What? Oh. Okay. All right. Well.
Cannolis?
Yeah, well, that's sort of it. Let's
Yeah,
go on.
What?
Okay, so again, Unsolved Mysteries did their reboot on Netflix, and they had a couple accounts where people experienced this Berkshire County UFO sighting. When I tried to look up this information online, there was actually little to no information. Even if you went to, say, like somewhere that's a public source such as Wikipedia. Wikipedia touched on it maybe 1 to 2, 3 sentences, and that was really it. a lot of people that experienced this UFO sighting were publicly ostracized in their counties, in their cities. It was something that was kind of hush-hush under the table. So this happened in 1969. This is, just for reference, 1949 was when Roswell, New Mexico happened. Everyone knows about that incident. And 1961 was when the famous accounts from Betty and Barney Hill, when they were abducted from UFOs, happened in New Hampshire. So
I don't know much about UFOs.
I've heard of those stories.
So they're two famous
like the most
accounts.
famous-
yeah.
One's like a UFO crash, and one's like a famous abduction story.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, so back then, Betty and Barney Hill, I'll just kind of touch up on that as well. They were interracial couple. So that was kind of like out of people's conceptual belief back then.
Yeah.
But they were abducted and went back into having like doing hypnotic sessions to be able to remember things that had happened. One of the two, I can't remember who, actually was able to, like, from memory, draw a map of the stars, which turned out years later to be true.
Oh my.
It's like, it's crazy stuff, but it was something that people just couldn't help but ostracize them for, because it's just something out of this world that no one could comprehend if it were to happen to them, let alone people openly speaking about it. You would just be looked at like you're crazy.
Yeah, I can see that.
And well, yeah, and I feel like, and I'm sure, you know, when you kind of go into detail about it, 'cause I know you said that a lot of people kind of shared their truths and no one really believed them, if anything, ridiculed them. That's the thing that sometimes I think about is, like, if someone were to tell me something that's just, like, crazy, I don't know if I wouldn't also be, like,
A skeptic.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's the thing. I'm with you too. Like, if someone came to me and was like, I saw this, like, something totally bizarre, I too would be like, oh no, he had.
And if they're like, I'll show you, I'd be like,
how, I don't
shit.
know. It's gonna take us
I
for
don't
a
know where
trip.
that's going.
But
No, I agree with you.
even then, you'd be like, you Photoshop that. That can't possibly be real because it's outside your nature of understanding.
Yeah, so
But
that,
but at this story that you're saying, I don't think Photoshop was a thing, even if.
So no, there's no evidence of it. So I'll get into that later.
Okay.
But I mean, it's kind of crazy that the accounts that they go into detail, those who actually wanted to speak out, because again, it's so hard. We're in a society that is like multiple generations living within this small town that, you know, the only thing you're known by is your actions in the town and your word of the town. So if you do something, it's remembered for your entire life unless you leave.
I could never imagine that.
No. So, I mean, you're either there for life or you absolutely had to pick up and leave and start completely new.
Yeah.
Because so many people knew of your background. So that's just some of the things that these people have had to deal with and finally kind of step forward. And were kind of put into the spotlight when Netflix came back and did this reboot.
Interesting.
So there are a couple people that were interviewed in this, and I'll actually just get into 3 of those accounts. So the first account that was highly publicized after the reboot was of this kid who at the time was like 10 years old. His name is Tom Warner. He grew up, again, in Massachusetts his entire life. You know, he lived in the same house that his family has owned for 6 generations. Again, kind of reiterating that when your family's there, you're structured and you're there for life. You're not really moving out beyond the city or anything like that. So September 1st, 1969, when this event happened, it was Labor Day. He was at his neighbor's house, and I guess his neighbor acted kind of like as a babysitter. They were a little bit older than him. So there was 2 sisters, Debbie and Jane Shaw. All 3 of them were coloring at the time that, you know, Tom had come over, was just hanging out, when suddenly he got this increased sensation that he just needed to go home. There's just compulsion that said, you know, he said it's not really a conscious, it was like something entered his mind and said, you need to leave, you need to go home now.
Like a voice or something?
Like a commanding force. Have you ever had like just a gut feeling that you need to go? And that's your conscious telling you like something's not right?
All the time.
So,
What
kind
you
of
been doing?
I've always said my intuition's too good.
yeah. So kind of like that sensation, but a voice in your head. So not quite you saying it, but it's almost as if someone's telling you to do it.
Right. That makes sense.
So he didn't say anything to his neighbors or babysitters. He just kind of got up from coloring and like bolted out of the house. And they were like,
at 10 years.
yeah, at 10 years old. And they were like, Tom, what the hell are you doing? So they ran out of the house to go get him. And there he is, running on the patch of grass in between his house and their house, which is a couple yards.
Yeah.
And this kid was just running in place. Physically was just running as fast as he could, like the bottoms of his heels kicking up dirt.
That's crazy.
And he was not moving.
So the others...
They just saw him standing there. Like, he was running in place.
Yeah.
And they just thought, well, this kid's, like, goofing around, whatever.
Yeah.
When suddenly, to his side, up rises this giant UFO. And he's still running in place. They're kind of aghast. Like, what the hell is going on?
Like, why are you
running in place, or he's, like, running with something's holding him there?
Well, that's essentially the feeling that he felt was happening to him. So
Like
he was trying to run,
But something was holding him.
was holding him there in that specific spot.
Wow.
And no one knew what it was until the UFO popped up.
Did
so-
the others see the UFO?
Yeah, so, like, they all saw the UFO pop up. So when they saw this, like, large, disc-shaped object that everyone kind of describes when they see a UFO, there was a light that kind of enveloped all of their houses. And he said immediately his body seized.
Hell no.
And his body actually contorted into the light where his arms peeled back, his shoulders were ripped backwards. And all the air was kind of like sucked from his lungs. And before he knew it, he was gone. And his neighbors said he just disappeared. Like, it was kind of like in a flash, like in a lightning flash. He was gone. UFO was gone. They actually tried to even search for him for the time that he was gone. And it was 7 minutes. And he was they couldn't find him.
For 7 minutes.
Yeah. So during those 7 minutes, Tom remembers being in a metallic room, kind of surrounded by other children.
No.
And again, this UFO sighting spanned 118 miles. So he had no idea who any of these kids were. They were just kind of random kids that potentially were picked up along the way.
118 miles.
I guess the aliens were doing human trafficking.
No?
Well,
Undocumented aliens, you say? Doing trafficking? Oh my gosh.
I see there.
So, he was in a room surrounded by children. But this one person stood out to him, and he said that he saw this young girl, and she was kind of crouched down, and she had these very, very fearful eyes. She was just terrified. And he's like, out of all of these children in this room, she stood out to him. For whatever reason, she stood out to him.
Love at first sight.
And within what felt like
spaceship.
moments, Tom awoken, and he was laying on the ground. But again, as he's laying on this ground, he's kind of having this like skin peeling sensation. He doesn't really have air in his lungs, and he's looking up, and above him again is this enveloped light from the UFO. Now, I don't know if this UFO just appeared again out of nowhere, because suddenly then all the kids around him see him. They see him down on the ground.
the kids who saw him be
Disappeared.
Yeah.
So they see him laying on the ground. They see this light enveloping him. They get freaked the fuck out and try to run, and they're like, hey, get up and run. And he can't. And he's like, he's yelling out to them. He's clearly upset. And he just feels this gravity, this weight on him, and he cannot move. Well,
Oh my God.
So
eventually,
so after he sees this little girl, like with fearful eyes, that's when he gets zapped back to the ground.
yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Sounds like the beginning of a video game, to be honest with you.
Like,
So-
who's this girl?
Or an
Yeah.
escape room.
And then you
Help me
you
find
see
this
the
girl.
future, and then you go back to like the beginning, and you show him how he got there.
Butterfly effect.
Yeah. So you got to remember too, a lot of people that often have UFO abductions lose part of their memory. For whatever reason, they don't want to recollect it. It's kind of, if you've ever been in a situation that has given you PTSD and you just can't fathom it, you can't deal with it, you often compartmentalize it in your mind. So there's a potential that's kind of what happened to him. So all he remembers is his girl's eyes, and that's it. That's all he really talks about.
Interesting.
So years later, and he has claimed that he has been abducted more than once, just in this town. But years later, he was with this group of friends when he felt this overwhelming sense of familiarity come over him. And this group of friends was meeting up, with different groups of kids throughout the city. And he's like, you know what? There's someone there that just feels so familiar to me, and I can't put him, like, I can't put time and place, like, who this person is. Well, he goes up to the girl. It is a girl. And her name is Melanie Kirkdorfer.
Oh, yeah.
And he looks her in the eyes and he's like, I know you. I remember you. You were on the ship. And she has no idea what he's talking about. And suddenly it kind of hits her. And she's like, he honestly felt like a brother to me. Like,
She
out of
said
nowhere.
that?
She's never met him. But yeah, she's like, he felt like a brother to me in that moment.
Now, is
That's
this
so
him
interesting.
recounting that, or has this girl also...
This girl's actually stepped forward too, so I have her story as well.
Oh, shit.
Of the same exact night, but her circumstance. So they kind of felt a kinship toward each other, where again, in this situation, they didn't really talk about it much. Because if you did talk about it, you'd be made fun of, you'd be bullied, you're a kid. So this was kind of something that they both came together and were able to, talk about. So for Melanie, again, on September 1st, her family had actually driven to a Dairy Queen for some ice cream.
They were
That
feeling...
Gal-
go wrong.
That Gal Gadot Wonder Woman.
What are those ice cream bars they have?
Blizzards.
No.
Ice cream bars.
They have like ice cream bars that are dipped.
What?
Really?
I think they're like dilly
That's
pops or something like
McDonald's.
that.
I don't know.
I have
I've
no
never
idea.
tried it.
Look it up.
Okay.
But you know what? A brownie fudge whatever thing sounds
From
delicious
Brahms?
right now. Brahms?
Oh, not from Brahms. I mean Dairy Queen.
Yeah, dilly
mean-
bar.
Yeah.
I've never heard of a dilly bar.
I've never heard of that.
Oh, I've seen those before.
Yeah, they're really popular.
Yeah.
It's like a dipped cone.
You get it with
but-
chocolate, cherry, or butterscotch
Very cool.
coverings,
to try
but
that
that's
next
not.
time.
That's
So they
not
hit
the
up their
point.
local dairy
For a
queen.
dilly bar.
You know,
Of course.
parents were like, "Oh, we're having such a great Labor Day. Let's go get some ice cream for the kids."
If I ever have kids, I'm gonna get myself ice cream. I'm gonna be like, no,
you don't deserve it.
You
you don't
need
get
it.
ice cream yet.
You don't
Why?
need it.
Why?
You gotta clean the house first.
Give your
Really?
children problems.
No.
Oh my
I don't know. I just like to think that I'll be some like totalitarian.
I would
with my
love
kids.
to be
Dictatorship
I'd
with your
love to
child.
be the cool aunt that's like, your mom didn't get you ice cream. Get in the car.
You'd also be
We're
the
gonna
aunt.
get you
Get in
a
the car. You have
gallon.
money. You have money. I'm
yeah.
not paying for
Can
you.
you pay for
But
yourself?
kids, do you have money of y'all's own?
That's why your mom didn't buy anything. Poor.
Let's go to the mall too.
You'd be the aunt that'd be like, "Hey, you want a puff puff pass?" They'd be like, "What's a puff puff pass?"
Oh, I'll show you.
Yeah,
Like,
and then
I'll
I'll show you
you.
a world you've never seen.
Oh, Jesus Christ. So anyway,
Dairy Queen,
they went to go get Dairy Queen.
1969.
In 1969, the good old 69. So they're
Summer
leaving.
Mm.
They're leaving the Dairy Queen when suddenly they see a light shine overhead of their car.
Mm.
Kids are like, what the hell is that? The mom's like, oh, what the hell is that? And what do you think the dad does? Typical dad move.
Oh, this is nothing. Let's go check it
Let's
out.
go chase that light because why not?
Oh.
That's a typical dad move.
I don't know if my
So,
dad would do that.
I was gonna say I don't think Pops
Your dad would run away.
No, Pops would be
He would be
like.
like, he wouldn't even see
He'd be
it.
like, "What the hell?" And I'd be like, "Let's go. Let's take a detour.
Oh,
Let's go on this street."
my dad would go chase it. My dad's also the kind of dad that stands outside during like really bad thunderstorms, and he's like, "This is great. This is just great." And now I do
I
it.
kind of do that.
Yeah.
I would, yeah.
Yeah. So, of course, they chase it. And the children are in the back crying and howling. And the father's just like zigzagging, zooming through the streets trying to follow this thing. When suddenly, in a split second, Melanie is transported. She's just gone.
Mm.
So, she then recollects that she's also in this room of children.
Did she have a Dairy Queen with her?
She'd not. I don't think she had her Dairy
Maybe
Queen
that's
with
why she was sad.
Traumatized?
her.
That's why she was so troubled. in that
Exactly.
Dairy
She
Queen.
lost it.
So, the only difference between Hermit and Tom, they both recollect being on a ship with children in this specific room. She specifically remembers being held down on a table,
Oh.
and that's it. Next thing she knows, after she's being restrained, she wakes up by the edge of a lake nearby her house, and she has to actually walk home in the pitch black of night.
I don't think so. I'm sorry. No.
Like, don't you think the parents would be like, what the hell happened? But no one wanted to talk about it.
outside
No
of
Even
one
her
talked about it.
parents?
Mm-mm. She like talked about it with her, I think her like sister, her sibling or something, and her boyfriend, but that was it. Like no, you don't want to confront it. You don't want to.
Does anyone
give
know
life
how
to
long
something.
she was gone for?
So if Tom was gone for 7 minutes, she's probably gone 7 minutes, probably 7 minutes.
So you know how to like study like sea creatures, humans will like tag them,
Yeah,
like tag a shark and just be like monitor where it is.
yeah.
What if that's what aliens are doing? They're like taking a sample and tagging them.
And
Well,
studying us.
There's been accounts of people that find things under their skin after they've been supposedly abducted.
Yeah.
And some people have had it taken out and they have no idea what it is, and some people it gets taken out before they have a chance to do the surgery, almost like they're being watched. And they know that they're going to take it out. So I don't deny it.
It's weird.
But
I don't know much
no
about
idea.
any alien stories. That's where you come into play.
oh, thank you.
Yeah. No, yeah, to be honest with you, some of this stuff I'm like,
Like,
oh,
yeah, I
really?
didn't know
They did
any-
that?
yeah,
Okay.
Yeah. So, okay, so there's one last kind of account, specifically a person that handled or experienced this as well. His name was Thomas Reed. Again, same situation. He was a younger kid.
Same date as all the.
Yeah,
the
same.
others.
Everything
Interesting.
happened on one night. That was it.
That's. I think that's what's most compelling to me.
That was
It's
all-
there's
I happened to-
multiple different families all
All
on the
over the
same
one night. So
Wow.
he was on his way home with his parents, or with his mom and his grandmother, and his brother, and they were going to the Village Green Diner, which was a diner owned by his parents. On their way home, they had to pass the Sheffield Bridge, which was in Sheffield, Massachusetts. Similar to Melanie. Oh, I like that Fran Drescher.
Did I ever,
Like-
you know,
No.
Josh and I here had a beautiful, changed our life English teacher by the name of
It's always,
Haley Drescher.
It's
If she
always
hears
the
this,
English
she's going to
teacher.
find you. She's going to
She
kill
will.
you.
She will attack me. I almost want her to find me.
Oh.
And yeah, she was cousins with Fran Drescher. But I don't know what. I don't know if she just was annoyed or like if there was bad blood. But she never.
Between her and Fran?
She never wanted to talk about Fran.
Maybe because her cousin was a celebrity at that point.
Because she was a celebrity and she wanted to make her own.
Like, when I
not be famous for
Having a cousin.
relation.
When I
That was what
become
she did.
famous, are you guys gonna enjoy like always being asked about Catherine? Where is she? How is she?
Everyone asks. Wait, what is it, Josh? Everyone asks.
No, it was
How did you kill her? Not
no,
why did
it
you
was a
kill her?
picture of Michael Myers. It was like everyone asks, "Why did you kill him?" But they're not asking, "What's killing you?"
Oh yeah, that's it.
Why do you kill?
Why do you kill?
There you
Not
go.
what's killing you.
Beautiful.
Anyway.
So with Thomas Reed and his family, right? So they were going under this bridge. It's one of those like old school goes over water, but it's a bridge above water. But it's like built kind of like a barn.
Right.
So as they're going through, right before they're going through this bridge, a light again shines on their car. So similar to Melanie. When they come out of the other end of the bridge, they see what they explain as like fired rods of light shooting from the sky from the one side of the bridge. On the other side of the bridge, they saw this orange orb, which neither of them could understand what's going on. They're kind of looking side to side, but they felt, again, similar to Tom, this pressure. They explained it as like kind of similar to being underwater.
Oh.
Also similar to how Billie Eilish says her head was underwater. So,
We're good friends with Billy, by the way.
Billie,
And her brother Phineas.
kiss kiss. So they all saw
Josh,
these
don't,
lights.
Don't give that look, Josh. You're her closest friend out of all of us. Don't even.
You love Billy.
And she loves you.
She's got some good music.
She has some great
She's
music.
some great music.
She's in a wonderful.
I'm not a fan of her videos, but
That's more
it's
of a
fine.
look. I love her videos, and also that's more of a look of where are you going with this, Alex?
Anyways, continue, please.
Okay. So, they felt like they were underwater with this pressure change, and suddenly the light in the orb kind of disappeared. When all of a sudden, they saw, again, this disc-shaped object. They said it was approximately 100 yards long. So that would be what, like a football field?
You got me, Matt.
So,
no.
it's 100 yards long for a football field. So imagine an
Would you
entire
say an
football
acre?
field.
Lit up.
No.
And
It's-
the size of an acre.
A football field? That's what you said last time, right?
No, I said a square mile.
Misinformation all around.
So-
we still didn't know.
I looked it up and it said that an acre is about the size of a soccer field.
How big is a soccer field in
I think,
comparison to a football
I
field?
think they're about the same size.
No, I think a soccer field is smaller.
Anyway,
Okay.
so 100 yards, this
Yes.
disc-shaped object passed over the horizon up into the sky.
Mhm.
So, most UFO stories, which, including mine, again, that we'll someday get along to. The
When we
UFO
get
hovered
there.
there silently. They just kind of stared at it. It stared at them. And all of a sudden, they hear the sound of crickets, katydids, kind of erupting in their ears. And that's the last thing they remember. When they, like, realize, like, hey, I'm hearing sound, like, that silence is gone. 3 hours had passed. They woke up in front of a local drugstore that they don't remember going to.
Well, I'll tell you right there, it was the drugs.
But listen.
Jokes.
Listen.
They were
1969.
Again, they were in the station wagon. The mother was in the passenger seat. The grandmother was in the driver's seat, which was the wrong sitting order.
Was the mother driving?
The mother had been driving. The grandmother doesn't drive.
Oh.
So they woke up after 3 hours. Their seating arrangement is all wrong.
Were they abducted too?
That's what he thinks that they were abducted.
Because they got just flipped.
Yeah. So the ignition of their car was off. They were just kind of sitting outside the store.
That's weird.
Yeah, it's kind of bizarre. So Thomas tried to talk about this at school. Again, he ended up being bullied because of it and getting into fights. The family was ostracized so badly that people in the town started attacking the mom verbally and like making gestures at her. They actually had to sell their house and move.
Wow.
Why are people so aggressive about that?
People
They
don't
just
mean-
they
Something
just don't
happened
like
to
when
them
you talk
too.
out.
They get so fearful. That is what
Maybe it's
people
like
do.
a Voldemort thing. Don't talk about it. Don't
Yeah.
say his name.
Yeah.
It
Don't
gives it
bring
power.
it upon us.
Exactly.
So they had to move. Thomas has spent most of his life trying to kind of get vindication for it. He even took a polygraph test, which he passed, just kind of recounting his tests. So the thing that was kind of unique, again, when I mentioned in the beginning, I tried to do some research on it. Netflix was really the only thing that kind of pulled attention to it. The reason kind of being, besides the fact that people don't talk about it, you know, they have accounts from even like the local radio DJ whose name was Tom J, and he was on the station WSBS. He remembers getting calls from thousands or hundreds of people experiencing these lights. He actually called the police because at first he thought it was a hoax, you know, people are calling in, but the sheer amount of numbers that kept coming in, the force that they kept calling in, asking him if he knew anything, freaked him out. He called the police, which kind of said, you know, we've heard about it, but we're going to let it be. But he really didn't get anywhere with it. Again, he didn't experience it himself, so he let it go. There was a local police officer who actually went through police local records and said that there have been no recorded records on file of anything reporting a UFO incident or strange lights or anything on the specific dates. Again, September 1st, 1969.
Suspicious.
You know, there was no reports in the local paper, which was their Hershire Eagle, and people just kind of thought that they just wrote it off as a sham. Like, no, you know, it was just a big old hoax. It was a joke to the community. There was even the local, I guess, police chief whose son was Eddie Golata. He remembers hearing the stories actually from people coming in to complain to his father, and his father actually investigating these claims, where these discs will kind of slow and land in farm fields along from Massachusetts to Connecticut. He kind of verified that what other people had been saying, so it's a disc shape, it's silver, it's not an airplane. He said his father kind of thought this thing was all a hoax, it was fake. And Eddie and his friends went camping and tried to find it because the kind of sightings died down after the 1st of September and there was nothing kind of ever heard about it again. But I just find it super strange that his father was the police chief
And he got all
and
these-
there was no records of it.
Yeah.
No one talked about it. Again, it's kind of like it never happened if we don't talk about it, given power.
Maybe some Men in Black were involved.
Yeah.
Still
Which is a
never
whole
seen that
another
movie.
top. That
There you go.
Men in
that's-
Black.
Yeah, I've seen that
Oh.
movie.
So that is not.
May I add?
The Men in Black
um,
movie is based on the Men in Black legends.
Is
Yes.
it really?
Of like government men in black who all look the same in our uniform, and they are always seen after a
Something.
UFO event.
I don't know if you guys watch BuzzFeed Unsolved on YouTube, but they
Yep.
did an episode on Men in Black.
Yeah.
There's a
cool.
video.
So the movie is kind of like a comedy, like action,
Yeah.
like a comedic
But yeah, that
side
much
of
I
it.
know. Yeah.
Whereas the Men in Black,
The
like,
real
I
life?
think it's a real thing. Because why wouldn't the government want you to not know? There's so many
Big
things that the
brother.
government doesn't tell you about.
Yeah.
On September 1st, 1969, the moon was a waning gibbous.
What does that mean?
That it looked like
That's what the moon looked like on the
Wow.
night they were
That's what the
abducted.
moon looked like.
71% illumination.
Yeah, so
Huh.
71% of the
Yeah.
sky was lit up.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Well,
I
looks
don't
like the aliens made up the rest.
Yeah.
So there's, again, this all kind of happened in one night. There's not a lot of accounts of it.
well,
Which is something that typically happens. I will say, again, when we get into Pennsylvania and my story,
your story.
after I had my account of what I believe to be a UFO sighting, the Discovery Channel came and did a story on the county over next to mine, and it was happening during the time
That you saw
that I
something?
saw something.
Well, we're just gonna have to wait
Now
and
we're just
see.
gonna have to hear about that later.
Well, maybe we'll do Pennsylvania sooner than later.
It's all random, though.
It is alright.
Doo-doo-doo.
It depends
Have to
on where
go.
our sailboat / cruise, and I hope you find a ride soon.
Don't set me up for failure.
It depends on where we ride.
Maybe
Well-
the second episode would. Okay. Sometimes.
Just wherever we want to go.
Sometimes maybe I want to do Massachusetts because it fits in with the Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So
maybe.
I'm kind of like 50-50 with like UFOs and stuff. Mind you, because I mean, I'm not.
You are entitled to anything you want.
Well, no, I'm not saying like, oh, I don't believe it
It
100%.
doesn't-
But
don't
I'm
hurt my
also not
feelings for you.
saying I believe in it 100%. It's just like, I don't know. There could be something out there for sure. I mean, we're not the only ones.
So when I was in 8th grade, I was in algebra class. I hated algebra, but my algebra teacher said something that to me was so impactful that it was kind of like, it sticks with me. It kind of is just, it's so bizarre.
What'd you say?
So it was a he.
What'd
So
you say?
if you believe in God,
Mhm.
there was so much wasted potential and so much wasted space if all he created was
just
one
us.
planet and us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
No, and that I totally,
yeah.
yeah. I do think, though, it is interesting that it all happened on the same night. Like, different people had different accounts on the same night.
Yeah. That's a pretty interesting story, though.
Yeah.
But I agree, though, there is some. I mean, I do believe there's something out there that we don't know about. And we're
Well, I-
definitely not the only ones living.
Yeah, I agree with Josh. I mean, the fact that there's like multiple accounts makes it more compelling because typically,
You hear one and you're like, okay.
yeah, I'm not a huge UFO believer, but I think my belief system in it is just about as much as
The ghost.
yeah, maybe ghosts, where it's like
Yeah.
maybe, maybe not. I don't
Like,
know.
oh, I saw a ghost the other day. Like, okay. Did you feel it? then?
I remember when I was little, I freaked out because I thought I saw a UFO outside my house, and then I found out it was just the ISS.
The space station.
Yeah, because
Oh.
it was just like, as bright as a star, and it was just
Yeah.
going across the sky. I was like, that's not a plane.
That
What is
freak-
that?
That freaking.
And I was like Googling and trying to figure out. I was like, oh,
It's a-
okay,
it's
it
a-
passed overhead.
That was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Well,
Did y'all hear about I saw this TikTok.
oh gosh.
But this girl was talking about how there's like another UFO theory where it's the theory that there is a world inside of the Earth. So like the core of the Earth is its own little world. And the way to access it is either through the North Pole, the South Pole, or cave systems.
Caves.
Through caves. And the reasoning that they think that this is like a North Pole, South Pole thing is that a lot of countries have a treaty that you can't conquer the land of, say, like Antarctica. And that people that have gone to Antarctica supposedly
See.
have a sensation of warmth that it's not cold. You get there and it's kind of cold for a little bit, but then you feel these warm currents, these warm air currents that are hitting you. And that they've supposedly seen like fruits and vegetables being grown there, like
They have-
giant people, giant food.
They have research stations on the South Pole.
I have no idea. So that's just something
That
on
stuff
TikTok.
I can believe in. I think that's so interesting.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. All these rumors, because there's not a lot of people that go there.
Well, the thing is, a rumor always has to come from somewhere.
Yeah. There's got to be some truth to
Yeah.
rumors.
There's
Yeah.
always something.
Usually, always is.
I could go. I feel like I could talk about hours on any of
Conspiracy
that.
theories.
Yeah, conspiracy. Like just
Well,
wow.
maybe we can one day.
Do you want to create one?
I don't
Conspiracy
know.
theory?
But how
I'm
about
down.
we pass the baton on?
Okay, before we pass the baton on to our Lord and Savior Josh, the Bermuda
Thank you.
Triangle.
Thank you.
The
It's
Bermuda
funny you talk
Triangle.
about the Bermuda
Oh
Triangle
gosh!
because
Really?
I have a triangle story.
Oh,
Okay.
the Illuminati!
You know what I learned today? I learned today that Amelia Earhart supposedly was eaten alive by land crabs, and that's how she died.
Here's the thing.
That's crazy.
Oh.
They smelled her blood and engulfed, like swarmed her.
And that's
like
why
a
they
freaking...
never found her?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I
They
thought
found-
it was the Bermuda Triangle.
No, they found, apparently, like, on this one island, they thought she had crashed. They found, like, bits and pieces of, like, a almost full skeleton. But then they were like, no, it's not her. And then years later went back and looked at the skeleton again. They're like, oh, it looks
That
pretty
could have
similar.
been her.
But the thing that they found, too, near that area was a jar. I don't know if it was, like, glass or plastic. Probably glass around the time. But it was a famous jar, specific shape, for freckle cream.
For freckle?
Freckle cream, and she was known specifically for using freckle cream. So
Wow.
Oh,
There's a
Amelia.
lot. There's a lot.
Should have been using that link.
there's like there's theories that she got abducted and stuff. And
I was gonna say there's so many things. Like there's so much out there that we don't
She
know.
was like hooking up with Teddy Roosevelt
Really?
in that museum.
In the net.
A, don't go
Not
after
a museum.
Teddy, and B,
Battle of Smithsonian.
Don't go after Miss.
don't go after Robin Williams playing Teddy.
And don't go after Amelia.
All right. So
We pass on the baton to Josh.
yes, since we are gonna have to go through some of these. I think I might skip this story. I'll come back to it if we have time at the end.
Where are
But we're about an hour in or so.
Wow.
So
That is sorry.
only got about
Oh my
40
God.
minutes. So I'm gonna do these two stories
Okay.
because they're pretty big. And if I don't get to this last one, then I'll save it for another day.
Okay.
But I'll just jump right into it. So you mentioned the Bermuda Triangle,
Yes.
but have you heard of the Bridgewater Triangle?
No.
The Bridgewater Triangle is in Massachusetts.
Mm-hmm.
It's a piece of land that covers around 200 square miles, and anything paranormal you can think of has happened in this triangle.
Of course.
There's been
Immaculate Conception.
probably there's been
Maybe.
strange lights, UFOs in the sky, Bigfoots, Thunderbirds, which are they're
Like pterodactyls.
no, they're like figures in Native American mythology.
Oh,
It's a bird with a 20-foot wingspan. Thunder booms when they flap their wings,
Oh,
and
that's
lightning
cool.
is said to shoot from their eyes.
Wow.
But people have said to see these
Yeah,
Thunderbirds,
That's pretty cool.
phantom campfires, and Native American spirits,
Ooh.
and a satanic cult.
Well, you know, I'm
It's
always
got
down for that.
everything.
Yeah,
I
so,
love
What's
good
going on in
cult.
so
Massachusetts?
I'm just gonna get through a couple
Salem.
stories I found about the Bridgewater Triangle. Honestly, we could do an entire series on the Bridgewater Triangle. There's so many stories to cover that it is insane. I didn't even know about this thing.
I think we could do a whole
But,
series on Massachusetts.
The triangle includes Freetown State Forest, where large amounts of suicides have been reported. People who usually never have suicidal thoughts suddenly have the urge to leap from the Assinet Ledge, which
That's
is about 50 feet off the ground.
Crazy.
It is said that this forest is the site in which Puritans butchered several Native Americans. Natives that did not want to die by their hand were said to have jumped from the cliff, and it's no surprise the forest is a hotspot for ghost activity. And what's interesting about these Native Americans being described as jumping from the cliffs instead of being killed by the Puritans is that's exactly what happened with some of the night marchers in Hawaii
That's right.
when King Kamehameha was
Yeah.
taken over.
What was that again?
It was taken over.
Come
Come.
You broke that again.
Yeah.
Okay, very
I blew
blown
a
up.
hole in the sky last time.
They heard you when they came
Oh.
marching
They
after
did.
us.
Another story goes that two lovers met there on the Assinet Ledge in secret because both of their families did not approve of their match.
Oh, Romeo and Juliet.
One night, when the girl's lover didn't show up, she threw herself from the ledge to the water below.
But he was just 5 minutes late due to traffic.
No.
And now people claim to see a woman walking back and forth on top of the cliff.
That's sad.
Then she steps off, and right before she hits the water, she disappears.
Kind of sounds like, what is it? Is it Mount Fiji where they have like, the suicide forest in Japan?
Oh, I saw
Yeah.
an indie
That's
movie
Yeah.
with my favorite actor, Francois.
Brother-in-law?
Yeah.
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 It's kind of like in this forest, people will, I mean, it's pretty similar because in this forest, people will just walk into the forest, will find bodies hanging from trees or just
So,
skeletal
I
remains.
hate that.
As far as this woman, though, are we sure, like, she just wasn't heartbroken?
We're not in that forest
Really,
right now.
really,
are we?
you wouldn't want to, like, take pictures and film it and put it on your YouTube channel if you saw it.
Oh, yeah.
Jake Paul.
Jake
no,
Paul.
Logan. Which one is
Logan?
I don't
Didn't
know.
didn't he play it off like, oh no?
I didn't mean. It was a learning experience. We
Yeah.
weren't laughing at
Yeah.
his dead body. We were
Yeah.
laughing at because we were just so confused.
We were just so traumatized.
Yeah.
Anyway, not talking about that.
We won't get into that.
man.
The thing.
A creature that is said to be found inside this triangle it's called the, I think this is right, Pukwudgies. Pukwudgies. They translate to person of the wilderness. These are small elf-like creatures, about 3 feet tall, with long noses, ears, and fingers. Said originally that they lived alongside people, but had a split in a fit of jealousy. Legend has it that humans were distracted by their relationship with Mashop, a giant, kind-spirited deity who created the land that would be Cape Cod. The Pukwudgies were offended that they weren't as well loved as Mashop and began to cause more and more mischief. Mashop exiled the Pukwudgies and forcefully spread them far and wide throughout North America, and they began to cause misfortune for humans. They'll cause anything from small pranks to full-out pushing people to their death.
Oh,
They can turn invisible, and some are said to be able to take the form of dangerous animals, and when they kill someone, they keep their soul.
those little bastards.
That's so sad.
Specifically, when I was looking at all the different things about Pukwudgies, they said they can turn into cougars.
Oh god.
So,
I hate
It's always
fucking
red dead
cougars.
cougars, man.
You hear those things? That's it.
so I thought about
Dead.
you. Thought about you when I read that.
Wow. Thank you.
So naturally, third episode in a row, this Bridgewater Triangle has a hitchhiker story.
I'm starting to see a theme. I like it.
Starting from
This
Marfa.
one is called the Red-Headed Hitchhiker of Route 44.
Redheaded. You said.
Redheaded
See, I was interested too until I found out it was a man.
Well,
jaw.
I can't do anything now.
This is a man in his late 40s with a big red beard, wearing a red flannel and jeans, and he tries to get a ride.
Totally
a
not
lumberjack.
Not my
Yeah.
style.
Lumberjack.
But it's a little terrifying.
Oh.
People who have stopped to pick him up will have the man disappear shortly after getting in their car. The man is always described the same except for his eye color, which changes from person to person.
Interesting.
Some people have even said that they have seen him with solid black eyes.
No.
No, no, no.
Oh no.
The man does the exact same thing after being picked up. He will not say a word, he will just stare at the driver.
No.
After a few minutes of emotional staring, he will begin to laugh and fade away as if he was never there. One story.
Why has he gotta laugh? What?
One story that was recorded in a book called The New England Ghost Files tells of a couple whose car broke down on the road. The man got out to help while the woman stayed in the car. As the man was walking, he saw the specter, and when he tried to say something, the man began screaming at him before laughing uncontrollably. The man said his laugh came from all directions. Meanwhile, at the exact same time, the woman said that she heard a voice come over the radio and began taunting her until her partner returned.
My God.
Yeah.
Sounds malevolent.
This is kind of off record, but I feel
Yeah.
like each episode, Brooke and I have a new TikTok sound to always.
Was Oh No not in that last one?
No, this is new. I think last episode was Red Me.
Can you imagine
Yeah.
just
And then Meat Buns.
just picking up someone and they're just staring at you, like, oh, where do you need to go?
And they just stare at you with their black eyes.
And
You know,
it's
here's
like
the-
a
and the
deep
Here's
In
the
the darkness of these woods, your eyes look a little black to
eyes,
me.
Okay.
belly
It
laugh,
is a little
just
dark in these woods, actually. Huh?
screaming with laughter.
You
and then
guys
just
would, like-
disappearing.
You guys would like pull over, unlock your car, let this person in, and then say, "Where are you going?"
Well, some stories have
on.
said that
Wouldn't you
so
roll
that
on
people
your
that just
window?
drive by him, he'll appear in their car.
Oh.
He'll just show up
That's a little.
Wouldn't you kind of
and do the exact
swerve?
same thing.
No.
Start laughing. And
Here's the thing. If I say I'm driving home one day and then I looked in my rearview mirror and there's someone in my back seat, I think I would swerve because I'd be like, "Holy crap, who's that?"
not just imagine this. You're driving
Yeah.
and you look up your rearview mirror and you see somebody, and as soon as you notice this man in his 40s, he just laughs.
I
The loudest. Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
cry.
And then you join him. You become the hitchhiker of
I don't want to think of
Route
that's sad.
44.
That's sad.
Not George Bush.
George Bush.
No, yeah.
Or 75.
On 75.
635.
Hitchhiker of 635.
I
No,
hate that
probably
highway.
there's-
God, that would be
I
hell
hate
if
that
you
fucking
died
highway.
and you had to
I
launch
hate
635.
All the people that you see on 635.
It's like playing Frogger.
I mean,
Oh,
they already never finished construction there,
On
so you just be holding it up
635.
even more.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Hey.
I hate 635.
Who likes 635?
No one.
Nobody. And for any
Us Texan natives near the Dallas DFW area,
Yeah.
635.
It's a nightmare.
I-30.
You try to go on that highway between like two,
all hours
two,
of the day.
2 in the afternoon and
I'd say 7, 8 maybe at the latest.
9 in the morning. No, 10 in the morning. From 2 in the afternoon to 9 in the morning.
I wouldn't even
Or-
say, I wouldn't even, yeah, because like even in the dead of night when you think it'd be fine, they're like, oh, let's close down the entire highway except for one lane because we need to do construction.
That did
Yeah.
happen to me. That did.
Yeah, it's happened to me multiple times.
I have not
But you
had
know
that
what?
happen to me, but I avoid 635 at all
We're
costs.
talking about the Bridgewater Triangle. We're not talking about the
635
horrible,
triangle.
horrible
We should have been
635
talking about
highway,
635 on
Which-
our Texas
which
podcast.
only a select number of people can relate
But the
to.
Massachusetts people can relate to it because they got bad traffic.
Yeah, that's,
I
yeah,
don't know.
They do.
I don't know.
yeah.
Oh, I guess.
This is my first time in Massachusetts.
We road tripped through Boston.
We're
I
in
like
Boston.
Boston. Like the Red Sox,
Mm.
2018 World Series champions.
Yeah, that is
Just waiting for the Texas Rangers
Philadelphia Phillies 2008.
2008.
Okay.
Oh, so the Red Sox won 2018, 2013.
Oh.
Going further back than that, I can't remember.
Yeah, well.
Anyway, so I will go on to one more story about the Bridgewater Triangle. Trying to keep this concise. Maybe if we do a part 2 Pennsylvania, I can add more stories from the Bridgewater Triangle because there are. I mean, it's 200 square miles, which square miles, not acres. So
What does that even mean?
It means a mile squared,
I'm done.
not
like
an acre
1 mile
squared.
by 1 mile.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, lots of stuff happening. But I don't usually like to go into true crime.
Oh.
Oof.
Oh,
true
is
But
crime.
let's go.
Can I
Let's
take
get
a
into
Is
it.
this can I take can I take a guess?
Digga 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 da.
Does it is this a nursery rhyme?
a nursery
Is this a
rhyme?
nursery rhyme?
Are we going
No.
British now?
We didn't
Because-
do
No, stop right there.
Because
no, we're not doing this.
I can go British.
No.
You can go.
That's my
offensive.
tea.
Tea on a Tuesday.
The tea
I'm
party.
so sorry for any of our,
Oh,
if we
oh,
even
oh.
have listeners across
No one's
the
listening.
sea.
No one's listening across these.
Well,
Okay.
if and when they do.
Did we not do the one that like, what the heck is her name? Da da da. And when
Stop.
she found that one,
You can stop.
Because I'm getting there.
yeah, it's a nursery rhyme.
Yeah, I know. We're getting there.
You lied to me. I trusted you.
Well, maybe you shouldn't spoil. Maybe you should, I'm trying to do a show here.
We're gonna get
I said I wanted
fired.
a union, guys. What
A
happened to
fuck?
that?
Well,
Fuck?
true crime story.
Okay.
Okay.
Do-do-do-do-do-do.
For 20 years,
Oof.
authorities found bodies of animals that seemed to be seemed to have been killed by some satanic ritual.
Oh.
What has been named the Fall River Cult.
Yummy.
All the animals
Riverdale.
had their blood completely drained from their bodies, alongside upside down pentagrams and other graffiti. One of these terrifying discoveries include a bunker filled with old decaying dolls.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Always
So
done.
This
so those
is so-
weren't. It's not, I don't know if the bunker is connected to the cult at all. I just thought it was weird.
There's
It's in the same
dolls.
area.
Yeah.
It was. I think it was thought that the bunker belonged to like this man and woman, couple that were pedophiles. Whatever.
Oh,
But
okay.
I didn't
Okay.
find anything more than that. It was just like a one sentence thing about the bunker. But this is the main story. The cult is thought to have been behind the deaths of 3 women found in the area of Fall River. Each victim was a teenage runaway who had turned to prostitution.
Yeah.
So the first body, 17-year-old Doreen Ann Levesque of New Bedford, was a runaway. She was a prostitute who had come to Fall River to sell her wares. Who had come to Fall River to sell her wares with another sex worker named Gail.
Okay.
And that's an apostrophe because I don't know what her real name was.
Oh.
Witnesses report seeing Doreen acting impaired downtown at several establishments and engaging in prostitution on Pleasant Street. At 6 a.m. on October 13th, 1979, Doreen's body was found under the bleachers of Domain Vocational High School by two joggers. She had been sexually assaulted and bludgeoned to death.
No.
And was only identified after police released a drawing to local newspapers. I'll say she wasn't just bludgeoned. She was bludgeoned to death so badly that she
They
was
couldn't
like...
identify her?
Yeah, this was like her head was gone, almost gone.
How
from
did she
bludgeons.
how'd they identify her? You said they did like a drawing of what she would have looked like,
I
or
don't know, it just says after they released a drawing. I think it was like the back of her head.
oh my
Yeah,
god,
like the sides and back.
yeah.
Next was 19-year-old single mother, Barbara Raposa. She had a history of drug use and sex work. She was reported missing on November 7th, 1979 by her father after she had failed to pick up her son from a babysitter. She was last seen at 8 p.m. by her friend who had dropped her off in a downtown so she could work as a prostitute. Barbara's body was found by hunters several months later, on January 26, 1980, in a wooded area on the outskirts of Fall River. Autopsy results indicated that she was killed shortly after she was last seen in the same manner.
Oh, someone has aggression issues.
Very much so.
The 20-year-old mother, Karen Marsden, who was actually an acquaintance of the first girl who died.
Oh.
Another sex worker in the Fall River area who had frequent contacts with police. On the night of her disappearance, police had questioned Karen as a potential witness to the murder of Doreen. Karen refused to identify Doreen's killer, refused an offer of witness or protection, and asked police to drop her off at a church in Fall River. She was never seen alive again.
Wow.
Her partial remains were found in Westport, Massachusetts on April 13th, 1980. Each one was found with their hands tied, evidence of brutal sexual abuse, multiple stab wounds and bludgeoning to the head. It's also reported that there was evidence of multiple people being involved, not just a serial killer, but something
Jesus
more organized.
What's wrong
So
with
I
people?
saw a Criminal Minds episode, something like this. This almost sounds like a hate crime towards
women.
like the prostitutes.
It could be.
I would.
Yeah.
Would
I
you?
mean, it could be, but because of the pentagrams found in the woods too.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, maybe they
But
were
also-
targeting
there is a documentary
on this.
called Fall River coming out about
Oh,
this.
Oh.
that's gonna be
It's
interesting.
it's in the works.
Coming out.
Yeah, it's
you
in
part of it?
production. I wish.
Is Nicolas Cage part of it too?
Don't you
Yeah.
start?
Did Nick?
This was
I haven't heard
also
from Nick lately.
this is also in the height of the
he heard
satanic
from Harry?
panic.
I haven't heard from him.
Listen, when you talk in the back of the class,
I did feel like
Do you want to continue? You wanna
I asked.
Here, right here, right here.
and now Josh is pointing out
This
the next
was-
words to say.
This was in the. You spelled height wrong. This was in the height of the satanic panic. Basically, just people.
And now that you've been made a
Wow.
fool in front of the class, whatever.
I was asking Brooke, has Nick talked about Harry lately? I have not heard from Harry lately.
I can't disclose that information. I signed the NDA.
Okay. But
What I can tell you is that he's gonna be really good Joe Exotic.
Nick?
Yeah, and Harry might do a cameo as one of the lions.
You mean one of the tigers?
What?
Tiger?
One of the
Tiger
tigers?
King?
Yeah, but okay, Liger. He had lions and tigers and bears. Oh my!
Sorry, Josh. We won't talk again.
Okay.
Sorry, Tito.
This is in the height of the satanic panic, which It wasn't in the 70s. It was basically just people being hysterical and freaking out, thinking their kids were going to join a satanic cult.
Is this one of those things, if they had a puff of weed, they've been like, oh my god!
They were worried, like,
This is your brain on crack!
oh, my kids are having sex and doing drugs and they're going to start worshiping Satan.
They're
Just
listening to
rock and roll.
Elvis.
It was way overblown.
Yeah.
Way overblown, but this story did not help.
Yeah, oh sure.
But yeah, so yeah, there's dozens and dozens of stories, but what's interesting is that in 1670, a bloody war broke out in this area with the settlers and the Native Americans called King Philip's War.
Mm-hmm.
It was a gruesome war with unbelievable bloodshed that ended with the Wampanoag chief, I don't know how to pronounce that, the Wampanoag chief being killed and quartered. His head was then placed on display on a pike in Plymouth for 200 years.
No.
People think that perhaps this war is what caused the land to be cursed,
Yikes.
or perhaps this war began because the land was already cursed.
Oh, I like that.
So, yeah.
A little twist.
So,
That's,
There's a lot that can be tied into it for sure.
and then this was kind of like, in my research I found out this might be connected because, do you know what else happened in Fall River?
No.
Fall River's on the southern point of the triangle.
okay.
Lizzie Borden took an axe,
Oh, there you
gave
go.
her mother 40 whacks, and when she saw what she had done, she gave her father 41.
I'm unfamiliar
The most
with this.
haunted house
I'm
in
familiar too, but I like that.
the most haunted house in
based on a true
Massachusetts,
story. Oh.
America's most famous axe murderer, Lizzie Borden.
Oh, hell.
It's based on a true story.
On August 4th,
Are we near it?
Fall River, Massachusetts.
Are we?
Where are we in Massachusetts?
We're in.
We're right in the suicide forest.
We're in the heart of it all,
Should have
boo.
known.
We are having a time about that.
I smell coffee.
On August 4th, 1892, the Borden family had finished breakfast.
There you go, I smell coffee!
Abby Borden,
I'm so
who
sorry,
is
she's
Lizzie's
slow.
stepmother,
No.
went upstairs around 10 a.m. to make the beds
Should've.
and clean the guest room. In her room, she had turned around towards someone who had entered the room when the person struck her in the side of the head with a hatchet just above the ear. Abby turned and fell face first to the floor, where her attacker began to strike her repeatedly in the back of the head 17 more times. Andrew Borden, the father, returned sometime around 10:30 when he found the lock of the house to be jammed. He was unable to open the door. He knocked, and the maid, a woman named Bridget Sullivan, came and struggled to open the door when she heard Lizzie giggling upstairs. After Andrew came in, Bridget went upstairs to her room to rest, and Andrew ended up taking a nap on the sofa. Lizzie said when he arrived home, she had helped him take off his boots. Shortly after, he fell asleep around 11 a.m. He fell asleep, and then around 11 a.m., the murderer struck a sleeping man in the face, splitting one of his eyeballs in half, and hit him another 11 times. At 11:10 a.m., just 10 minutes after the murder, Lizzie called out to Bridget Sullivan after finding the body. It was so fresh that Andrew was still actively bleeding.
Oh, man.
So Lizzie Borden's testimony was questioned. She said she was outside in the barn for 20 minutes at the time of the murder. She had burned a dress that day, which she claimed to have done because she had gotten paint on it. Also, her father was found with the boots on at the time of death, so why did she claim to have helped him to take them off?
Mm-hmm.
Did they ever figure out what her motive was?
I have a couple. There's two different motives I found. She was acquitted because there was not enough evidence against her, but she is still thought to have been the killer to this day. Some theories claim that her father was sexually abusive, which drove her to the murders. Others claim that Lizzie was involved in a relationship with Bridget Sullivan, and that either Abby or Andrew had caught their daughter in the act, with her pushing them to kill them so she could not be taken out of the inheritance. There's also a movie called Lizzie about that theory, where Lizzie and Bridget Sullivan are...
Lesbians.
And Bridget Sullivan is played by Kristen Stewart.
Oh, she what?
Yes.
Seriously?
Was this
Yes.
before or after Twilight?
After.
So
That's when she had her sexual awakening.
what's wrong with Rob?
Regardless...
Honey, Kristen Stewart's gay.
I thought she was bi.
Honey, she bi, but she a little gay.
Let's not
Yeah,
we
why are
don't
we
label
labeling people these days? then?
Regardless, Lizzie never married, an anomaly for a woman at her age at the time, and she never would marry.
Well,
You know, we just saw a movie called Ammonite. The same thing happened to Mary Anning.
But here's my theory. My theory to add.
ooh.
Maybe she was influenced by the triangle.
Oh,
I believe that.
something just
Something was
overtook her.
weird. Some chaotic energy was there.
So naturally, with any murdered house, the Lizzie Borden house is now a bed and breakfast.
It's like the Texas Chainsaw, where the house is now
A
a.
restaurant. Yeah, but that was a fake. That was a movie though.
Oh,
But it's
Oh, I
set.
thought it was a real thing.
No, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre didn't happen. This is a movie.
No, it was
So-
influenced by serial killers. Of
It's
that time.
influenced.
It was
but-
influenced by Ed Gein.
Yeah,
Um,
that's crazy.
yeah, the Abbey Borden room is the
Bed and
most
breakfast?
requested room to stay in. If you're lucky enough to get a reservation, people have reported finding a woman dressed in clothes of the late 19th century standing over their bed and tucking them in.
No.
Sweet.
No,
Um,
thank you.
That's sweet.
Andrew and Abby are thought to haunt the house and that they have never left.
I can't. Okay, you and I once spent the night at a
Nutcracker?
the Nutcracker.
You
house.
read my mind. I was.
We once spent the night at a supposedly haunted hotel, but I don't think I knew that before we did.
We
that.
didn't know that until you, Mama, and I. We were in so this hotel. It was like a little store, and then upstairs were like 4 or 5 rooms.
Yeah, literally.
And we were just playing board games in like the little
Lobby.
quote unquote lobby, and someone came upstairs it was a wife and a husband, and they're like, yeah, we came because we heard it was haunted, and we rented out the most haunted room, and the 3 of us were like, oh
Yeah.
great.
So
Wonderful.
my point being, I would never actually willingly go to a bed and breakfast.
Oh, I would.
No.
If I knew it was haunted, I still would go. I'm into those things. I'd be like, let's go for it. Let's see what
I need
happens.
to sage before and after.
Well, the
Don't
thing
come
is,
home with
you
me.
need to believe though that nothing can harm you.
You know-
Nothing can touch you.
You know what I do believe in?
What?
In the words of Cher, I believe in love after life.
Okay.
Okay, well, we're gonna move on because we do not have much time left. I still
Okay.
have to get through the story.
Let's
Yeah,
go.
the fire is burning out.
Yes.
And we don't have enough logs.
So
Yes.
this last story is the Bloody Pit, also known
Bloody
as
Pit?
the Hoosac Tunnel.
Oh, there you go.
Yes. Do you wanna share your sentence?
The only sentence I was gonna say was that the stone that was built in this tunnel, I think, was the same stone that was built of the mansion, the Houghton mansion.
Like from the same quarry?
Something, yeah. And so there's beliefs that it's cursed and that
Maybe the stone came from the Bridgewater Triangle.
well then
Tied it all
it's
up.
all
Hey.
tied together.
Wow.
Well, the Bloody Tunnel, and you're about to find out why it's called the Bloody Tunnel,
Yeah.
is a railway that goes 5 miles through the Hoosac Mountains. The building of the tunnel started in 1851,
Is
took
it-
24 years, and claimed the lives of 200 men.
Yeah.
Is this like an underground railroad
No,
tunnel? or
it's
this
a
is-
No, it just
Legit.
goes right through the mountain.
It's a
side.
legit tunnel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Um,
And you can drive through
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
I mean, yeah.
So it's a train track. But
Well,
You
okay.
can ride it.
You
it's
can
an
ride
active,
through
it's an
it.
active train track.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of the first events that took place was in March of 1865 when 3 men were clearing rock using explosives about 2 miles into the tunnel. The 2 men planting the explosives, named Nash and Brinkman, were on their way to get clear of the explosion when the third man, Kelly, set them off and buried the 2, crushing them to death.
Wow.
This was thought to be an accident, except for the fact that shortly after Kelly disappeared without a trace. Perhaps the accident was more intentional. Before people could start suspecting Kelly of foul play, he turned up again, dead. He was found 2 miles inside the tunnel, strangled to death in the same spot that the other 2 men had died.
Strangled.
hmm
Wow.
He had bruises all over his neck, and the medical examiner estimated he had died around 3 a.m. the previous night.
Wendigo.
3 a.m.
Oh, dead time. When to go?
The witching hour.
No suspects were
Skinwalker.
found, and the case went unsolved. After Kelly's death, many workers said the place was cursed and full of darkness. They quit their job and never returned. In 1865, Paul Travers, a mechanical engineer and cavalry officer during the Civil War, toured the tunnel. I only mention that he's a cavalry officer because this is a guy who was high-ranking. This is like a believable, respectable guy.
Right.
He'd come to inspect the tunnel after reports that there was a man crying out in agony in the tunnel. The sounds were keeping many workers from entering the tunnel. A man of the construction company named Dunn accompanied Travers on the investigation, and the events were later recorded in a letter that Travers wrote to his sister. He wrote, "Dunn and I entered the tunnel at exactly 9 p.m. We traveled about 2 miles into the shaft, and then we stopped to listen. As we stood there in cold silence, we both heard what truly sounded like a man groaning out of pain. As you know, I have heard this same sound many times during the war. Yet when we turned up our wicks on the lamps, there were no other human beings in the shaft except for Mr. Dunn and myself. I'll admit I haven't been this frightened since Shiloh." Mr. Dunn agreed that it was the wind we heard. Perhaps Nash and Brinkman, I wonder.
Wow. Very cool.
One of the most tragic events during its construction revolved around a 1,000-foot chimney that was being built for train fumes. During this construction, fumes ignited and caused an explosion which destroyed a hoist, knocked equipment down over 500 feet to the 13 men below at the bottom.
Crushed.
The explosion also destroyed water pumps which began to flood the chimney.
Oh.
The miners on the surface assumed that no one could have survived and left the chimney until months later when they returned.
And they would have realized people were still alive.
When they returned to excavate the debris from the shaft. Going into the water-filled shaft, they found a man-made raft. Some of the men had survived the explosion and flooding, only to be left to die of starvation.
That's
terrifying.
During the excavation, ghostly miners were seen carrying tools on the mountainside, leaving no footprints in the snow, and not responding to people calling out to them. After the last of the 13 bodies of the men were pulled out of the mine, the ghost sightings stopped.
Wow.
In 1872, 2 men, Dr. Clifford Owen and a drilling operations superintendent named James McKinistry, went into the mine in search of the ghostly reports. The 2 men got around 2 miles in when they began to hear wailing. They then saw a light in the distance that began to move towards them, growing larger and changing to blue until it took the shape of a headless man. He got within a couple feet of the men before turning away and disappearing. In 1874, after the tunnel opened, a local hunter went missing only to be found wandering next to a river 3 days later. He was incoherent and beaten, and when he was able to tell his story, he said that voices had called him into the mine, and once he was inside, he was surrounded by ghostly men who began to grab at him. One of them took his rifle and they beat him repeatedly. He had no memory of leaving the tunnel or how much time had passed. And ghost stories continue to this day of the tunnel.
You never think about how much work goes into creating something like that and how many people may have died.
Yeah, sorry to blow through that story, but...
No, it's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's sad though. I
Yeah.
mean, so many lives were lost.
That does happen.
Yeah.
Or, yeah.
It's construction at the time using... I think they just discovered nitroglycerin,
Ooh.
which caused a lot of casualties.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
wow.
strange stuff.
Very strange
Right.
stuff from
Well, I
Massachusetts.
definitely loved the tales from Massachusetts.
Yeah, well,
I think these were more intriguing. And...
You know what? I think I got time for a bonus one.
Ah,
I think I got enough time.
Where
You
are
guys have anything to say about the tunnel, or do you want to go into this last story?
let's go into this last one because
Yeah,
I
let's
want
see
to
what you
hear the thanks Alex has to give.
I mean, it's,
Oh,
you know,
okay.
it's nothing glorious.
This one's a
but-
short one.
Okay, this is.
Oh, you wanted to give your thanks now?
No, it's, we can save it at the end.
Okay. So this is my last story, which I was going to skip, but
Bonus.
famous Dover demon.
Oh.
Dover.
So this
Don't
one,
bend over.
April 21st, 1977. Around 10:30 at night, 3 teenagers, Bill, Mike, and Andy,
I like
are driving down a road. Bill, the driver, sees something slinking along the wall at the side of the road. It's just like
Is it
it's
gonna
just
be
my
okay?
computer really trying to
You
not
brought the
die.
computer out here?
How do you think we're recording this?
We're just talking to the wind.
You just said this isn't where you have the stone tablet.
What? Go ahead.
First, he thinks it's an animal, but as it comes closer into view, he sees it's nothing of this world. The creature turns its head to the car with its wide orange eyes, an elongated oval head with a thin neck too small to support such a large head.
It's Brooke. Oh.
I'm gonna kick your ass the second this is done.
Oh my god.
Oh, we're gonna be
Ding,
missing
ding.
someone for the next episode.
If y'all don't hear me next episode, you know.
She got lost in the
The,
Bermuda Triangle.
the thing has thin arms with large hands and feet.
That sounds like you.
Stands about 3 to 4 feet tall.
Yeah, that is you.
The creature is grayish with a texture that Bill would describe later as like wet sandpaper. The thing is curling its long fingers around the sides of the wall, crawling along like a spider. Bill's the only one to see the creature, and the experience upsets him. The same night, around midnight, another teenager named John is saying goodbye to his girlfriend. He leaves her house and begins walking home. After about a mile of walking, he sees a figure in the distance walking towards him. The figure is so small, so he calls out to it and it stops. He takes another step towards it, and the creature takes off on all fours, down the road and down a slope. John runs after the creature and gets to a bank where he sees it behind a rock, its large hand on top of the rock with its long fingers draped over it. John runs away terrified, gets back to the road where he's able to get a ride from a passing couple. And the creature has not been seen since the 70s, but people have heard and seen strange shadows and heard noises in the area. So it is not conclusive. Perhaps the Dover Demon still roams the area.
Yeah. This goes back to there's so much in this world that we don't know.
Oh, there is. You never know with this world.
Which, I'm kind of upset we didn't get to do Salem, but it's just more fuel for next time.
Maybe
Because there's a lot.
There's a lot about Salem.
We could do a whole episode on
A
Salem.
part 2, maybe.
Yeah,
in the future.
definitely.
Just
Yeah.
like
I appreciate
Texas.
that you guys took the time to research and tell some stories around the campfire.
Thank you, director.
I had so much fun actually researching.
Yeah, it was
So, Josh, if you ever need help,
Yeah,
She's getting this on film for you.
don't hesitate.
no, it was fun.
Because I would love to contribute again.
Yes, yes.
Oh,
And I'll eventually throw in a story here or there.
So,
we'll see.
finishing
We'll
notes.
see.
Well, it's something will call out to me.
Yes. So, any last takes for our listeners?
I hope everyone has a safe Thanksgiving and a happy one too.
And follow CDC guidelines.
Yeah,
As best as you can. To
as
your
best
ability.
as you can.
Yeah.
It's been a hard time for everyone, and you understand the people that want to go home to see their loved ones and the ones that just are unable to.
Yeah.
Just
I
be
would-
safe to the best of your ability.
And
Alex, any final thanks?
thank you for that transition. I just want to jump in here and say, because I know for the most part we always joke around and everything, and that's kind of what's made it fun for all four of us. So to those of you who have been listening, to those of you who are new, and honestly,
Anyone?
yeah,
Who
future listeners or whatnot, it doesn't really matter because this has just been a really great experience that we four have been enjoying from the beginning, and I hope that it'll definitely be continuing across the country and all that. But just want to say thank you to each one of you guys. Thank you to the listeners.
Thank you.
And like my sister said, and Brooke, I hope that everyone stays safe. Everyone has a great Thanksgiving. And regardless of whatever religion or belief or whatever it is that you practice, regardless, this time is to get together with loved ones. And even though it's been a trying year, we really need that right now. So, hope this was a fun one for you guys. Because it was fun for us.
Well, thank you guys for joining me on this journey.
Yes, thank you.
Joining
much.
you or joining
Now I'm
us?
going to be
And
leaving.
well, I mean,
I
you can walk away, but before you
Brooke,
sign
we gotta
off,
get on
we
our
just
sailboat.
we just want to leave you guys with a bit of information.
Take it away!
Take it away, Boo.
Follow us on Instagram at taleslesstraveled. Twitter is TL Travel. Facebook is Tales Less Traveled, and you can email us at taleslesstraveled@gmail.com.
And
you just want to say hi.
even if you just want to say
Just to
hi.
say hi, or
Still looking forward to
say
an email.
bye.
Yeah. First email. Maybe we'll give you a shout out. Who knows? But
We might give shout outs.
check out for that TL Thursdays, and we'll see you guys in about 2 weeks.
Josh, please
About
don't
2
walk away too far. I need to join you.
Brooke, our sailboat's arriving.
Let's go.
Come on.
Another sailboat. I'm getting seasick. Boo. No.